Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you new here, my name is Donna. Hi, hello. And for those of you not new, thank you so much for continuing to come back and support my channel. I appreciate all of you so much. Today we are doing the next episode of my palette roulette series, in which I let an app choose a palette for me. I utilize it throughout the week, and then I come back to you. I talk to you guys about my experiences with the palette, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, show you some pictures, show you some swatches, and then we move on. We pick a new palette and we do it all over again. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you're in the right place. Today's palette that we are reviewing is the Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse. You all know that Manny with Lunar Beauty, I stan. So I just posted an Instagram picture earlier this week of all of my Lunar Beauty collection, and I have every single palette that he has produced, including the highlight palette that came out with Greek Goddess and the blush palette that is still for sale on his website when you can catch it. It's often sold out. It is a phenomenal blush palette. I mean, so I've heard. I was just able to purchase it, I should say. I've been trying to get my grubby paws on it for a long ass time. And I finally got it. This is the Eternal Eclipse palette. This was the holiday palette for 2020 by Manny, MUA, and Lunar Beauty. He is the owner and operator of Lunar Beauty. I stan him. I've said that already. This palette comes in at 5 stars on Beauty Bay. It only has 2 reviews on Beauty Bay, and it comes in at 5 stars on Lunar Beauty. It only has 16. Like I said, this is a holiday palette for Lunar Beauty this last holiday season, so it is really new on the market. So I remember just kind of really going back and forth with whether I was going to purchase this palette or not, honestly. But when it comes down to it, there are a few brands that I really stan so much that I think I need everything from, and Lunar Beauty is one of them. This is what the packaging looks like. You guys can see it is a beautiful like lunar eclipse here. This is a raised globe front of the moon, and it is like iridescent. I think you can see the light playing on that in your screen. The stars are there, and then it says Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse down here, and this is kind of actually raised as well. It's like a sea mountainscape, midnight sky type situation. And then on the back of it, it does say Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse. It tells you it's a color palette, and it tells you there are 0.75 ounces of product in here, or 21.3 grams. It does say it is a cruelty-free item. It also says it has a 12-month shelf life. You'll know I don't really mind those shelf lives when it comes to powders. When you open it up, it does have a generous mirror. The mirror takes up the entirety of that front panel. And then you can, I don't like bending the spine, but you can bend it all the way back. Oh, I hate doing this. Okay, you can bend it all the way back, and this is what the palette looks like. So right off the bat, you should be able to tell me why I wasn't going to pick up this palette. It is very blue toned, and I am not a huge blue on my eyeballs kind of fan. But here recently, within the last, 8 months or so, I have really started loving and wrapping my arms around blue eyeshadow. This has 15 shades, both cool and warm toned in nature. It does have 7 mattes and 8 shimmers. So this row right here, this center row, is all mattes, and then there's a couple of more mattes down here. This row here is all shimmers, and then there are 3 extra shimmers down here. One of them I would like challenge whether this is a matte or a shimmer. It's neither. It is a black matte with glitter in it, but it's got enough glitter in it that you can pack it on and you're going to be able to see the glitter, but it's also got not enough glitter in it that if you want to use it as a matte on your eye look, you absolutely can. So I would say it's got 7 shimmers, 7 mattes and 1 that is a cross of them both. You all know how I feel about mattes with shimmers in them. I think they're pretty disposable. I hate using mattes with shimmers because I feel like they impact blendability. I will say that this is a beautiful black when you're packing it on, using it wet, and you can actually see that shimmer. I don't really think that it's a horrible matte when you're blending it out either. I used it in quite a few eye looks and didn't have any problems with it. So he does have matte blacks in another palette. His Life's a Drag has an amazing matte black in it, and I do know that he mentioned that on his launch video that he has matte blacks in other palettes. He wanted to do a different kind of black this time, so I give him kudos for this. I just wish it were either 100% shimmer or 100% matte, just because of personal preference. I don't like mattes with shimmers in them. This is a cruelty-free formula. It is also a vegan-friendly formula. It was the holiday collection for 2020. The packaging, you guys, the packaging, like Manny always stuns with his packaging. There's not one palette out there, not even Life's a Drag, that didn't have an enormous amount of detail put into it. I love the packaging of all of his products. I would say that that's probably what draws so many people into his brand without knowing the brand, is the packaging though. Let's talk about the mattes in the palette. The mattes, like I said, are this middle row here, and then there are these two down here. All of these tones are made for, they're your transition shades. They're the shades that you need to pack into your crease if you're wanting to pack in a crease color. They are all amazing with pigmentation. True Lunar Beauty formula. I have never had a problem with the Lunar Beauty formula ever, with pigmentation, blendability, working kindly with each other, working kindly with other shadows. They all are spectacular. I would say my favorite of the mattes is this one here. Oh my god, this is such a beautiful rosy, mauve-y, cool toned. It is in my eye look today. It's what I use to blend out the gray in my eye look. And I think it just brings a little bit of something something to your eye looks. It is so pretty. My least favorite, but the one that I got my best eye looks from, is this gray. So if you hear snoring and it sounds like hacking, that is my dog. I would say that it's not my favorite because I found it a little bit patchy when first applied. But here's the thing, Manny's formulation always goes on super pigmented, so you don't really have to go ham into your pigmentation. And I also think that a lot of the struggles that I had with this palette really came from the primer that I was using underneath, and maybe putting too much of said eye primer on my eye prior to going into these shadows. So I'm not necessarily sure that it was this palette and this gray that caused the problems for me, honestly. I did do a couple of eye looks over the last several days with a completely different primer than the type that I had been using on my eyes, and had zero problems with these shadows. This one was a true trust the process moment for me, because when I show you some trust the process moments and then the eye look that came from it, you guys are going to be like, whoa, what the hell? Because I took pictures before I took eye looks off, or took pictures in the process of an eye look, because I was just like, what in the hell? Manny, you did me dirty. It wasn't Manny. It was me. It was me and my choices of eye primer, or my choices of how much product I put on my brush before I decided to slap it on my eye. For the first 3 days, I wasn't sure I loved this palette, and I wasn't sure how it's going to come back to you guys and be like, ugh, I hate this palette. I don't hate the palette. I just learned that I was functioning wrong and doing this palette dirty, not the other way around. But with that being said, I do feel like this is truly a trust the process kind of palette, because it is so pigmented that if you go straight in with a color into your eye looks like I do, I don't like to blend, and you don't like think about the whole blending process, throughout it, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. So what I would say is take your time and trust the process and go in slow. The shimmers in this palette are beautiful, beautiful shimmers. I would say that most, all of them, have one swipe pigmentation. You don't have to go in and build up. You don't have to wet your brush. You don't have to do much of anything to get exactly what you want from these shades. There are two shimmers in here that are built a little bit differently than the other ones. This flare one is, I would say, leans a little more satin than it does shimmer, but it is stunning in your inner corner. It's stunning in your brow bone. It's a really beautiful, beautiful shade for those things. It's also stunning all over your lid, but it doesn't create the impact that all the other shimmers do, so you're going to think that you've done something wrong. The other one that isn't formulated the same, and Manny does mention this in his video as well, is this one here. It is called Meteor, and it is actually built with a sheer base, so it's more of like a top coat. You can pack it on and get a lot of opacity to it that you're looking for, but that's not what it's built for, and I find that it works a lot better if you just shear it out all over your lid. It is all over my lid today. It's not on top of anything but my own bare skin. I didn't use a primer today. I did find that this worked best for me without a primer because I could get the opacity that I wanted because they are Lunar Beauty shadows, but I also didn't have to struggle with the primer problems that I was having. So, like I said, those two are built differently. The rest of them, really beautiful, really one swipe pigmentation if you want it. This one, holy shit. This, this silver is so amazing. It's like cyborg. You are out of this world with this thing on your face. What I would say is that one is a little bit more chunky than the rest of them, and I did see quite a bit of fallout with that one. I would say if you're like adverse to fallout, definitely wet your brush with that one or put it on top of a glitter glue. It's going to stay on your lids in that way. I don't got time for that. I don't fuss with all that glitter glue stuff. I did wet my brush several times using it. I used it so many times. I loved that shade. That one is, for the most part, the only one that really fell out all over my face. The other shimmers in the palette do have some kind of fallout, but not horrible. The mattes, zero. There's zero fallout in the mattes, and that includes the black one with the glitter in it. That is pretty standard for Lunar Beauty. I have never had a problem with fallout with any of his palettes. So what I would say is, because of the color story in this and because of all of these like transitional shades right here in the middle, I think that this is a very versatile palette. This is a versatile day to night, versatile professional to non-professional, or work appropriate to non-work appropriate, or light to deep color story. I think that this is so versatile that I would say that this could be your one and done kind of palette if you're looking for like blues. If you love blues especially, because you're not going to see a whole lot of versatility with, like, if you want to pop a red on your lid, or, you know, an orange on, well, they do have this copper in here, which is stunning. But there's not a whole lot of versatility in color story, but there is a whole lot of versatility in the palette in the way that it could be good for your work appropriate looks, your night glam looks, your light tone looks, your dark tone looks. And I think I show that a lot in the pictures that I'm bringing to the table today. I do have a very soft eye look that is using this shadow here as well as flare, and that was day one with this palette when I got really frustrated in how my eye look was coming together when I was trying to use that gray for the first time. It also has really dark, sultry nighttime looks. I also think that this could be a very work appropriate daytime look. It looks very blue. I am using a blue eyeliner just along the lash line as well as on the under eye, and then I have it smoked out with gray and that meteor shadow in there, and that is it. That is all that is on my eyes. I have some blue mascara on my eyes to like help it lean a little more blue, which I don't know why I was wanting it to lean more blue. But I think that for the most part, you're going to get mostly cool tone looks out of this palette unless you're using those browns. The browns do make the eye look a little bit more warm, but you are going to get mostly cool tones out of this. If you're a cool tone lover, this is a great palette for you. Even if you are a neutral lover, this is also a great palette for you. I think that there is a lot of neutral in this palette, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I would say that this isn't a revolutionary palette. If you have, you know, browns, mauves, blues in your collection, this probably is something that you have seen over and over again in your collection, or could see over and over again in your collection. But where I challenge that is this formulation. Lunar Beauty, like I said, I have every palette he's ever put out, and every single one of them is stellar in formulation. Manny really nailed it in his formula. I don't think that we talked about it, but this guy comes in at $48, and you can pick it up on the Lunar Beauty website. And the shipping is ultra fast. I ordered the blush palette like maybe 5 days ago and already have it in my possession. You can pick up this palette and know you're not going to spend 40 hours looking for an eye look in here. It's really easy to play with. There was zero staining of these. I do think that they work personally. I think that these shadows I feel like work better for me without a primer on it than it did with a primer. And when I started using a cream primer, my eye looks came together a whole lot easier for me. So I think with a primer, it lasts a good 8 hours on your eyeballs, maybe even a little bit longer. I didn't wear it much longer than that over the last several weeks. Yesterday I was wearing an eye look without primer, and I wore it all day long. I put it on at 9:30, and at 6 o'clock I went in to take off my makeup, and my eye was a little bit in the crease, showing a little bit of creasiness. But other than that, like, the eye looked perfect. I could just stamp it out and it looked like I had just put it on. So I would say a good 8, 9, 10 hours is what the longevity of it is. So let's do some swatches and then we'll pull a new palette. So these are the first 5 shadows in the palette, and there are these 4, and then this one is last. I loved this row. This row was dug into so much in my experience with this palette. These are beautiful, and I can't wait to show you them in swatches. So here's this one first. This is Flare. This is the one that I said is probably great for your brow bone or your inner corner. This is just a really beautiful, like, champagne-y. I think Manny says it's an icy peachy shimmer. And I find that to be true. It does a lot to really help kind of warm up an eye look, but not too warm, if that makes any sense. This is a beautiful, beautiful shade, and I really feel like it performs more like a satin. There's not a whole lot of fallout to it. It just glides on super easily. It's very creamy. It's beautiful. Then there is this one here, which, like I said, is like you're a cyborg. This is Adamantium. Oh man, it reminds me of the Terminator, and when they melt down the Terminator and it turns into those globs of liquid metal, and that is what this shadow reminds me of. This is a beautiful chrome finish on your eye. It looks like you're wearing chrome all over your eye. Oh my god, it's so pretty. I have absolutely nothing horrible to say about this shade, except for to tell you it is built a little bit differently. It will kind of crumble on your face if you go in too heavy with it. So use a glitter glue or a wet brush with that. Then we have Meteor. Meteor is the one that is kind of all over my lid today. No, not kind of, is all over my lid today. I actually kind of built it up into the crease almost to the brow, but not quite. This is the one that is also built a little bit differently. It's on a sheer base. It does have all different colors of glitter in it. and is meant to be a topper. I love this shadow. It did so much for every other color that I was dealing with in the palette that I was finding some troubles with. Also, this shadow can help your eye look lean a little bit more lavender if you want it to. I think that my eye look looks very like blue, like slatey blue today, but I also think that my lid color could be lavender from afar. Then we have this one here. Pinky swatches are never good, but look at how amazing that is. That is Gold Dust, and that is a like antique gold shimmer. It leans kind of olive a lot, and I did put this in the center of a bronze eye in one of my pictures. You guys will see that, and it is just stunning. It is so pretty. I would say this would go well for any eye look that you do with any of that middle row. It's going to look amazing. And then the last one in that top row is that guy there, and that is Desert Sky. It's definitely a true bronze shimmer. That is what that first row looks like. You guys can see that it's all shimmer. It's all beautiful, pretty, just really liquid metal on your eyes. I really do feel like this is the perfect row of shimmers for any palette. You always need that perfect like orange tone bronze. You always need like that perfect like green toned gold, a really great brow bone color, a really great topper, and then a crazy shimmer silver. Like I said, it reminds me of Terminator, and that maybe it was T2 with all the, man, am I old? All right, this is the middle row, and again, this is all your transition colors. These are the first four. This is the last one. So let's go ahead and swatch these. These are all matte shades. First you have Dusk, and Dusk is a like really buttery peachy color. It's a beautiful shade for transition, but so pigmented. So even on my skin, my super fair skin, this showed up very yellowy peach on me. So just know that going in. Then you have this one here, which is one of my favorites in the palette. It's the only middle shade that the stars no longer appear and the imprint of the pan. I used it so much. This is Rose Thorn. This is a matte, cool toned mauve rose. So pretty. I love this shade. And like I said, it is in my eye look today. Then we have this one here, which is Sandstorm, and Sandstorm is that perfect medium brown tone in the palette. Very nice for transition, very nice to deepen up. I did a look where I used all the browns, so this one and the next three that you're going to see in an eye look, and just layered it in to build it up, and it just built so beautifully. Then we have, oh, we already did that one. Then we have this one here, which is Summer Sky, and it is your kind of red tone brown, very terracotta, very beautiful in an eye look. And then we have Earthbender, which is your deep warm brown. I think that because all the cool tones in this palette, it was really good to have those warm tone browns in here, but at the same time, I do think that it could have benefited from a cool tone brown as well. These are that middle row there, so you're going to have all your transition shadows here. All of these feel very warm in nature, except for this mauve tone here. I do think that because this palette does lean very warm tone or cool tone, it's nice to have a little bit of warmth in here as well. You can use those to create a warm eye look on any day with this palette and get a really beautiful warm toned look as well. This palette is really pretty perfect for those that are into cool tones but also want to jump into warm tones, because I think it's got a really good mix of warm and cool tones in it. This is the last row. You can see it's a very blue, and then of course your black. You guys can see on my thumb swatch, the black is very shimmery. If it's packed on, it can be a really pretty shimmer, but you do have to kind of pack it on. With all of the glitter in there, it can look very charcoal in tone instead of a black if you're going to pack it on and use it as a shimmer in your eye look. So the first one we have here is Starry Eyed. This is just a really pretty gunmetal shimmer in an eye look. This is a beautiful shimmer. I did use it yesterday in an eye look. It goes on so easily, so creamy. You don't struggle to put this on your eye. It's not a dry formulation, and this one I don't find fell out as much as some of the other shimmers in the palette did. Then we have this, which is your matte gray. It is a beautiful gray that leans a little bit blue tone. It plays really well off of the navy in this palette. This is what I'm wearing in my crease. You can see that it's a beautiful gray that does go on very, very opaque, but can be sheared out. It just takes a little bit of work. Remember, finicky, trust the process. Then we have this blue, and this blue is called Deep Sea, and this Deep Sea blue is a shimmer, a blue-based blue shimmer. It's not going to lean too dark. It's not going to lean away from that blue shimmer in a way that you hardly see it at all. You just see mostly the base. As you turn, you can see that that blue shimmer still stands. It exists in the blue. It's a very pretty blue shimmer. Then we have the matte navy in the palette, and that is what it looks like, and it is called Lagoon. Again, it's a matte navy, and this one is the other one I kind of struggled with. You guys can see, I think, that it is a little bit, it's a little bit patchy. But again, like the gray, as soon as you start blending it out, it just looks amazing. What I would say I struggled with the most is really trying to blend that blue into that gray. I don't think that that's the smartest move. This is the only one that I would say stained, and it's because it's a navy blue, but it is a beautiful navy blue. Is this my favorite navy blue in my collection? No. The Visi Art Dark Mattes review, you guys saw that last week or the week before, I can't remember at this point, but that would be my favorite navy blue in my collection because it just glides on so effortlessly as a navy blue, and it doesn't leave anything behind when you take it off. This is not a horrible navy blue. It's a beautiful navy blue. I do have quite a few eye looks you will see with this navy blue. It is so intense and so beautiful. It's just a little bit more finicky, and that is the black. So that is called Night Sky. And you guys can see that you do have quite a bit of sparkle still left in there. But once you start blending it out, the sparkle all but disappears. So that is the last row in this palette. I think that, I doubt Manny will ever watch this, but if he does, like, I don't think that I've done him any disservice either. Like, I really just have to say, there are some finicky shadows in here, but those finicky shadows are shadows that I think would be finicky for any beauty brand out there. They want to be finessed. They want to be loved and touched in just a certain kind of way. And that's okay. Like, there's always going to be a shadow out there from every single brand that feels that way too. What I will say is trust the process, folks. With that being said, I am not unhappy that I purchased this palette. For many people, this might not be extraordinary in their collection, and for many people I believe that to be true. For me, this is pretty extraordinary in my collection. It's definitely unique to my collection. I'm glad that I have it. I think I've talked long enough about this palette. I was so nervous to come here and do this because I love Manny and I don't want him to by chance pass on my video and think I've done him wrong in some way, but I also wanted to make sure that I gave you guys the true gist of how I feel about it. So now we're gonna pull another palette. For those of you who are unaware, I do use a Samsung Note 9, so I do have an Android system, and I pulled an app out of the Play Store called Decide Now. It looks like this. It's just like a Wheel of Fortune type app, and it helps you decide on what you want it to decide on. You can put anything in here. When we first started this, I did put all of my palettes into this wheel, and as I utilize them through palette roulette or declutter them out, I do take them out of the wheel, and then as we bring new palettes in, I do put them into the wheel. So here we are. This is where we're at right now. And I am just going to push that blue button right there, and it's going to spin for another palette for us. I went through these palettes the other day, and almost every single one in here is palettes that I have not used yet in my collection. So let's push it. So we have the Profusion Wanderlust palette. This is actually relatively new. I think it came into me through my December haul. So I'm going to go get it, and I will talk to you about that in a second. All right, guys, this is the Profusion Wanderlust palette. This is a drugstore palette, and I just picked it up not that long ago. I am excited to use this palette. I've heard a lot of great things about the Profusion formula, so I'm excited to try it. And if it's amazing, like, you can pick these guys up for like $10 at Walmart. It really matches my hair, so there's that too. Tell me what you think about this palette. Tell me what you also think about the Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse palette. I would be interested to know your thoughts down in the comment section. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that if you did, you're considering giving it a big thumbs up. It really does help our channels out here, helps us be seen, helps us grow. I hope that you liked it or me enough that you're considering subscribing before you go. If you do that, please don't forget to hit the notification bell. I do upload content several times a week, and I would hate for you to miss anything. Thank you guys so much for coming to view my video today. I know that you don't have to, so it warms my heart so very much that you do. I hope that January is treating you well so far. I hope that you and yours are staying safe and wearing your masks when you're out in public, if for no other reason but to protect yourself. I hope that you all are loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, bye everyone.